In 146 BC, Corinth, the jewel of ancient Greece, burned. Smoke billowed from marble temples and agoras as the city's destruction marked the end of Greek independence and heralded Roman dominance in the Mediterranean. But how did Rome, once a modest city-state, come to conquer the cradle of Western civilization? The story of Rome's conquest of Greece spans a century, filled with war, diplomacy, and unexpected cultural exchanges. From the shores of Illyria to the fields of Cynocephalae, this clash of empires would reshape both societies in ways neither could have foreseen, setting the stage for a transformation that would echo through millennia. In 230 BC, the Adriatic Sea churned with Illyrian pirates, their swift ships striking fear into the hearts of Greek and Italian merchants. This brazen piracy, conducted under the reign of Queen Tuta, would spark Rome's first significant foray into the Greek world, setting the stage for a century of conflict and conquest in the Eastern Mediterranean. Rome, ever vigilant of its commercial interests, viewed these piratical activities with mounting concern. The Senate, aware of the potential for wider regional instability, dispatched a diplomatic mission led by the brothers Gaius and Lucius Coruncanius to Queen Tuta's court. The Romans, accustomed to dealing with more centralized powers, were taken aback by the fragmented nature of Illyrian authority. Queen Tuta, while nominally in control, struggled to exert influence over the various tribal chieftains who operated with near autonomy. The diplomatic mission quickly soured. When the Roman envoys protested against the piracy, Queen Tuta's response was dismissive. She argued that piracy was a time-honored custom among her people, and that she had no authority to prevent private citizens from seeking gain on the seas. This cultural misunderstanding would have profound consequences. As the younger Coruncanius departed, he delivered a final, fateful rebuke, warning that Rome would compel the Illyrians to reform their laws. Enraged, Queen Tuta ordered the assassination of the Roman diplomat. The murder of a Roman envoy was an unforgivable offense in the eyes of the Senate. It provided the perfect pretext for military intervention, allowing Rome to position itself as the defender of civilized norms against barbaric aggression. In 229 BC, Rome launched a punitive expedition led by Gnaeus Fulvius Centumalus. The Roman force, comprising 20,000 infantry and 2,000 cavalry, crossed the Adriatic and quickly overwhelmed the Illyrian defenses. The Roman military machine, honed by centuries of warfare in Italy and tested in the First Punic War, proved far superior to the disparate Illyrian tribal forces. City after city fell to the invaders, with many Greek settlements welcoming the Romans as liberators from Illyrian oppression. Queen Tuta, facing imminent defeat, sued for peace. The terms imposed by Rome were harsh. The Illyrians were forced to pay tribute, surrender large swathes of territory, and cease all piratical activities. This swift and decisive victory had far-reaching implications. Rome had established itself as a power to be reckoned with in the Greek world. The Senate's decision to intervene on behalf of Greek cities against Illyrian aggression positioned Rome as a protector of Hellenic interests. Many Greek poleis entered into relations of amicitia, or friendship, with Rome. This diplomatic status, while falling short of a formal alliance, created a network of grateful city-states that would prove invaluable in Rome's future eastern campaigns. The Illyrian Wars also set a precedent for future Roman interventions. The Senate had tasted the fruits of eastern conquest and found them sweet. The ease with which Roman legions had triumphed over Illyrian forces emboldened expansionist factions within the Roman elite. Moreover, the wars demonstrated Rome's growing naval capabilities. Control of the Adriatic was now firmly in Roman hands, providing a springboard for further eastern adventures. As news of Rome's victory spread, it caught the attention of the major Hellenistic powers. The Kingdom of Macedon, in particular, viewed these developments with alarm. Under the ambitious king Philip V, Macedon had been working to reassert its dominance over Greece. The sudden appearance of a powerful Western state on its doorstep threatened to upset the delicate balance of power in the region. The outbreak of the Second Punic War in 218 BC sent shockwaves through the Mediterranean, reshaping the political landscape and creating new opportunities for ambitious rulers. Among those who saw a chance to expand their influence was Philip V of Macedon, a young and energetic king who had ascended to the throne just 3 years earlier. As Rome found itself locked in a struggle for survival against Hannibal's Carthaginian forces, Philip recognized a unique moment to assert Macedonian dominance in the region. Philip's decision to ally with Carthage was not made lightly. The Macedonian king had been carefully observing the unfolding conflict between Rome and Carthage, noting with particular interest the Roman defeats at the battles of Trebia River and Lake Trasimene. These setbacks, which had dealt severe blows to Roman military prestige, led Philip to perceive the Republic as vulnerable. Moreover, he was encouraged in this assessment by Demetrius of Pharos, a former ruler in the Adriatic who had been expelled from his dominion by Rome and now sought revenge by stoking Philip's ambitions. The treaty between Philip V and Hannibal, forged in 215 BC, was a calculated gamble aimed at dividing Roman attention and resources. Philip, emboldened by Hannibal's successes in Italy, believed that an alliance with Carthage would provide him with the perfect cover to expand Macedonian influence westward. He cast his gaze across the Adriatic, eyeing the territories that Rome had recently wrested from Illyrian control. Rome, despite being heavily committed to the war against Hannibal, recognized the grave threat posed by a potential Macedonian invasion of Italy. The Senate, demonstrating the strategic acumen that would become a hallmark of Roman statecraft, moved swiftly to counter Philip's designs. Rather than attempting to face Macedon directly, Rome embarked on a shrewd diplomatic campaign to isolate Philip and contain his ambitions within Greece itself. Central to Rome's strategy was the formation of alliances with Greek states that had long chafed under Macedonian dominance. Chief among these was the Aetolian League, a confederation of city-states in central Greece that had a history of conflict with Macedon. By aligning themselves with the Aetolians and other anti-Macedonian factions, the Romans effectively created a network of proxies that could engage Philip on their behalf, tying down his forces and frustrating his plans for expansion. The First Macedonian War that resulted from these machinations was characterized by its indecisive nature. Neither side was able to land a knockout blow, with the conflict devolving into a series of raids, counter-raids, and minor engagements. Philip found his efforts to project power beyond Greece consistently thwarted, while the Roman-led coalition lacked the strength to seriously threaten Macedon's core territories. After more than a decade of inconclusive fighting, both sides found themselves exhausted and ready for peace. The conflict was formally concluded in 205 BC with the Peace of Phenice, a treaty that essentially restored the status quo ante bellum. While the agreement brought a temporary cessation of hostilities, it did little to address the underlying tensions between Rome and Macedon, setting the stage for future conflicts in the region. As the dust settled from the Second Macedonian War, the ambitions of Antiochus III, the Seleucid king known as the Great, set the stage for a dramatic shift in the balance of power in the ancient Mediterranean. Like a complex game of chess, the political landscape was about to undergo a series of moves and countermoves that would reshape alliances and determine the fate of empires. The fragile peace established by the Treaty of Phoenice proved to be little more than a temporary respite. Philip V of Macedon, undeterred by his recent setbacks, resumed his aggressive expansionist policies in the Aegean region. This renewed push for dominance alarmed the smaller Hellenistic states, particularly Pergamon and Rhodes, who viewed Philip's actions as a direct threat to their autonomy and the stability of the region. The growing concerns of these Greek states did not go unnoticed by Rome. While the Republic had been content to withdraw from Greek affairs following the conclusion of the First Macedonian War, the escalating tensions in the eastern Mediterranean began to draw their attention once more. Philip V's attempts to dominate the Greek city-states and his military actions in the Aegean were seen as potential catalysts for a shift in the balance of power that could ultimately threaten Roman interests. In 201 BC, the simmering tensions reached a boiling point. Pergamon and Rhodes, feeling the pressure of Macedonian aggression, declared war on Philip V. Recognizing the formidable nature of their adversary, these states sought to enlist Rome as a powerful ally in their struggle. This diplomatic maneuver would prove to be a crucial turning point, drawing Rome back into the complex web of Greek politics and setting the stage for a decisive confrontation. The Roman Senate, initially hesitant to commit to another conflict so soon after the Second Punic War, eventually recognized the strategic importance of intervening. In 200 BC, Rome officially declared war on Macedon, marking the beginning of the Second Macedonian War. The conflict culminated in the Battle of Kynoskephalae in 197 BC, where Roman legions under Titus Quinctius Flamininus faced the Macedonian phalanx, led by Philip V. Flamininus employed innovative tactics, using light infantry to create distractions and maneuvering legionaries for a devastating flanking attack. The once invincible phalanx crumbled, resulting in a catastrophic defeat for the Macedonians, with an estimated 8,000 dead and 5,000 captured, compared to relatively light Roman losses of around 700 casualties. The Roman victory at Cynoscephalae had far-reaching consequences. It shattered the myth of Macedonian invincibility, which had persisted since the time of Alexander the Great, and led to a significant shift in alliances among the Greek states. The Greek world now looked to Rome as the preeminent military power in the region. In the aftermath, Philip V sued for peace. The terms imposed by Rome in the Peace of Tempea were harsh, reflecting the totality of the Macedonian defeat. Philip was forced to evacuate all of Greece, including Thessaly, surrender his naval capabilities, pay a substantial war indemnity, and send his son Demetrius to Rome as a hostage. This peace fundamentally altered the political landscape of the ancient Mediterranean. Philip V, once a powerful and ambitious monarch, was reduced to the status of a client king of Rome. His power and influence in the region were severely curtailed, marking a significant decline in Macedonian dominance. This shift in the balance of power opened the door for further Roman interventions in Greek affairs, setting the stage for the eventual complete subjugation of Greece under Roman rule. As the dust settled from Rome's victory over Macedon, a new challenger emerged from the east, echoing the ambitions of Philip V and his predecessors. Antiochus III, ruler of the Seleucid Empire, had spent years rebuilding his realm to rival the glory of Alexander the Great. His aspirations, however, would soon bring him into direct conflict with the rising power of Rome. Antiochus III, known as the Great, had significantly expanded the Seleucid Empire during his reign. His successful campaigns against the Ptolemies allowed him to gain control over Colli Syria and other territories. establishing the Seleucid Empire as one of the largest and most powerful Hellenistic states. By the time of the Roman-Seleucid War, Antiochus effectively controlled regions from Asia Minor to the eastern Mediterranean. The expanding influence of Rome in Greece following the defeat of Philip V alarmed Antiochus. He saw an opportunity to fill the power vacuum left by Macedon's decline and reassert Seleucid dominance in the region. This ambition, coupled with Rome's growing concern over Seleucid expansion, set the stage for a clash between these two formidable powers. As tensions mounted, Antiochus made a bold move that would further antagonize Rome. He welcomed the exiled Carthaginian general Hannibal into his court as an advisor. Hannibal's presence raised alarms in Rome, where memories of the Second Punic War were still fresh. The Roman Senate viewed this alliance with deep suspicion, fearing that Hannibal's military genius, combined with Seleucid resources, could pose a significant threat to Roman interests. The conflict began, in earnest, when Antiochus, encouraged by some Greek cities and the Aetolian League, crossed into Greece with his army. Initially, he achieved some successes, gaining control of key areas and rallying support among those who resented Roman interference in Greek affairs. However, the Roman response was swift and decisive. The turning point of the war came at the Battle of Thermopylae in 191 BC. Antiochus, with a force of around 12,000 foot soldiers and 500 cavalry, attempted to defend the narrow passage against a larger and better organized Roman army. The Seleucid king utilized a defensive strategy, constructing walls and positioning his troops to block the Roman advance. Despite these preparations, the Roman commander, Lucius Scipio, effectively coordinated his forces to exploit Seleucid weaknesses. The battle at Thermopylae was a crushing defeat for Antiochus. His defensive position was outflanked, and his army suffered heavy casualties. Over 10,000 Seleucid troops were lost, while Roman losses were comparatively light. This decisive victory shattered Antiochus's hopes of establishing a strong foothold in Greece and forced him to retreat to Asia Minor. The conflict culminated in the Battle of Magnesia in 190 BC, where Antiochus made his final stand against the Roman onslaught. Despite fielding a diverse and formidable army, including elephants and cavalry, Antiochus's forces were unable to withstand the disciplined Roman legions and their allies. The battle ended in a catastrophic defeat for the Seleucid Empire, effectively ending its aspirations of dominance in the eastern Mediterranean. The consequences of the Roman-Seleucid War were severe for Antiochus and his empire. The peace treaty imposed harsh terms, including a massive war indemnity and territorial losses. The Seleucids were compelled to withdraw from all territories in Europe and Asia Minor, west of the Taurus Mountains, effectively ending their presence in the Aegean region. These restrictions marked the beginning of a long decline for the once mighty Seleucid Empire, as Antiochus, who had sought to restore its former glory, instead presided over its rapid diminishment as a major power in the Hellenistic world. In the wake of Rome's victory over Perseus, the Macedonian kingdom lay broken and divided. Yet, from the ashes of defeat, an unexpected figure emerged to challenge Roman dominance. Andriscus, a man of humble origins, claimed to be the son of Perseus and rightful heir to the Macedonian throne. His audacious bid for power would reignite the embers of Macedonian resistance, much like a spark rekindling a seemingly extinguished fire. Perseus's ascension to the Macedonian throne in 179 BC marked the beginning of a new chapter in the Hellenistic power struggle. Inheriting a kingdom still reeling from the humiliating defeat suffered by his father, Philip V, Perseus embarked on a calculated campaign to restore Macedon's former glory. he invested heavily in rebuilding military capabilities, replenishing the ranks of the once feared phalanx, and bolstering the kingdom's economic foundations. Simultaneously, Perseus engaged in an ambitious diplomatic offensive, forging alliances with various Greek states to challenge Roman hegemony. The Roman Senate, ever vigilant of potential threats, watched Perseus's maneuvers with increasing suspicion. Reports from Rome's allies, particularly Eumenes II of Pergamon, further fueled these concerns. As tensions mounted, the delicate balance of power in the region began to shift, setting the stage for a confrontation that would determine the fate of the Hellenistic world. The Third Macedonian War erupted in 171 BC, with Rome moving to preempt any further expansion of Macedonian power. The conflict reached its climax at the Battle of Pydna in 168 BC, where Roman commander Lucius Aemilius Paulus faced off against Perseus's formidable phalanx. The engagement unfolded on uneven terrain, exposing the limitations of the rigid Macedonian formation. Paulus exploited this weakness, employing a combination of heavy infantry and cavalry in a flexible formation that could swiftly respond to the changing dynamics of the battlefield. As the battle raged, the Roman forces executed targeted attacks that disrupted the phalanx's unity. Effective flanking maneuvers and the element of surprise gradually broke the Macedonian lines. The once invincible formation crumbled under the Roman onslaught, with thousands of Macedonian soldiers falling in combat. Perseus himself barely escaped capture, fleeing the battlefield in disgrace. The defeat at Pydna marked the end of Macedonian independence and the collapse of the Antigonid dynasty that had ruled since the time of Alexander the Great. Perseus sought sanctuary on the island of Samothrace, but was soon captured and brought to Rome to be paraded in Paulus's triumph, a humiliating spectacle symbolizing the complete subjugation of the once mighty Macedonian kingdom. In the aftermath of the war, the Roman Senate implemented a radical reorganization of the conquered territory. Macedonia was divided into 4 semi-autonomous regions, effectively dismantling the centralized monarchy that had been the source of its strength for centuries. This restructuring aimed to prevent any future resurgence of Macedonian power and solidify Roman control over the region. The consequences of the Third Macedonian War reverberated throughout the Mediterranean world, reshaping the balance of power and setting the stage for Rome's continued expansion. The defeat of Perseus and the fall of Macedon marked a turning point in the Hellenistic era, signaling the decline of the great kingdoms that had dominated the eastern Mediterranean since the time of Alexander the Great. The Achaean League, desperate to maintain its independence in the face of Rome's growing power, found itself on the brink of collapse. As the last bastion of Greek autonomy, the League's leaders grappled with the stark reality of their situation. Polybius, the Greek historian, captured their desperation, writing, "The Achaeans, seeing their world crumbling around them, clung to the fading hope of freedom like a drowning man to a piece of driftwood." In 146 BC, this desperation culminated in a final, ill-fated rebellion against Roman authority. The League, led by the Corinthian statesman Diaeus, rallied its forces in a last-ditch effort to preserve Greek independence. However, their martial prowess had long since waned, and they were no match for the battle-hardened Roman legions under the command of Lucius Mummius. The conflict reached its tragic climax at the Battle of Corinth. The city, once a jewel of the Mediterranean, stood as a testament to Greek civilization's enduring legacy. Its grand temples, bustling marketplaces, and thriving port had long made it a center of culture and commerce. Yet, As the Roman forces advanced, this beacon of Hellenic achievement found itself on the precipice of destruction. The battle itself was a crushing defeat for the Achaean forces. Mummius, demonstrating the tactical superiority that had become Rome's hallmark, swiftly outmaneuvered and overwhelmed the Greek defenders. The aftermath was brutal and uncompromising. Corinth, with its centuries of history and cultural significance, was subjected to a systematic and ruthless destruction. The Romans, in a display of calculated savagery, razed the city to the ground. Its magnificent buildings were demolished, its treasures plundered, and its population either killed or sold into slavery. This act of devastation served as a stark warning to any who might consider challenging Roman supremacy in the future. The fall of Corinth marked the definitive end of Greek independence. The Achaean League was dissolved, and Greece was brought under direct Roman control. The region was reorganized into the province of Achaea, with its administration firmly in Roman hands. This reorganization extended beyond mere political structures. It represented a fundamental shift in the balance of power in the Mediterranean world. Rome's treatment of Greece in the aftermath of the Achaean War was complex. While there was undoubtedly a punitive element to their actions, the Romans also recognized the cultural importance of Greece. Many Greek artifacts and works of art were transported to Rome, contributing to a growing appreciation of Hellenic culture among the Roman elite. The implications of Greece's subjugation reverberated throughout the ancient world. It signaled the irrevocable decline of the Hellenistic kingdoms that had dominated the eastern Mediterranean since the time of Alexander the Great. The power vacuum left by their fall was swiftly filled by Rome, accelerating its transformation from a regional power to a dominant Mediterranean empire. This shift had far-reaching consequences for the entire Mediterranean basin. Rome's control now extended from the Atlantic coast of Iberia to the shores of Asia Minor, fundamentally altering trade patterns, cultural exchanges, and political relationships throughout the region. The era of independent Greek city-states and leagues, which had shaped the course of Western civilization for centuries, had come to a definitive end. The clash between Rome and Greece was like a tempest meeting an ancient oak, forever altering the landscape of the ancient world. In the aftermath of the Macedonian Wars, the Achaean League found itself in a precarious position. Once a formidable alliance of Greek city-states, the League had lost much of its power and influence, its autonomy gradually eroded by Roman interference. This decline fueled resentment among its members, who longed for a return to Greek independence. As Roman dominance grew, radical politicians within the Achaean League gained traction. Critolaos and Dyaeus emerged as vocal advocates for resistance against Roman hegemony, framing the struggle as a fight for Greek freedom and cultural identity. Their rhetoric resonated with many who felt submission to Rome would mean the death of their cherished way of life. Despite overwhelming odds, the Achaean League declared war on Rome in 146 BC, driven by frustration with Roman meddling and hope that a united Greek front could challenge the empire. The League attempted to rally support from other Greek states, but many remained neutral or sided with Rome, wary of its military might. The Roman response was swift and decisive. At the Battle of Scarpheia, the Achaean army, led by Critolaos, faced a Roman force under Metellus. The battle proved catastrophic for the League, with Critolaos killed and Greek forces overwhelmed, exposing the stark power imbalance between Rome and the Greek states. The final stand of the Achaean army took place at Corinth. Despite fighting with desperate courage, the Greeks were no match for the superior tactics and overwhelming numbers of the Roman legions led by Lucius Mummius. This defeat marked the end of organized Greek resistance against Roman rule. The consequences were severe. Mummius, acting on Senate authority, destroyed Corinth. The city's population was enslaved, its wealth confiscated, and its buildings razed. This act sent shockwaves throughout the region, disrupting trade networks and weakening the economic stability of surrounding areas. Rome's decision to obliterate Corinth served multiple purposes: eliminating a potential center of future resistance, warning other Greek states against rebellion, and demonstrating the absolute nature of Roman authority. The message was clear. Opposition to Rome would be met with overwhelming force and dire consequences. The transformation of Greece under Roman rule marked a profound shift in the political, social, and cultural landscape of the ancient world. As Greece transitioned from a collection of independent city-states and leagues to a Roman province, the fabric of Greek society underwent significant changes. This transition mirrored the military conquest that preceded it, with Roman legions marching across the Hellenic landscape, their polished shields and crimson cloaks a stark contrast to the diverse armies of the Greek poleis. The new political reality saw the establishment of Roman governance structures that supplanted local systems, effectively diminishing Greek autonomy. As the Roman general Titus Quinctius Flamininus declared after defeating the Macedonian king Philip V, the Senate and people of Rome and their commander Titus Quinctius, having defeated King Philip and the Macedonians, declare all the Greek states free and independent. This proclamation foreshadowed the complex power dynamics that would emerge within Greek cities. Initially, there was resistance to Roman cultural influence among the Greek populace. Many Greeks sought to preserve their traditional practices and maintain local identities in the face of growing Roman dominance. However, the inexorable march of Roman power gradually eroded this resistance, paving the way for a complex process of cultural integration and exchange. As time progressed, Greek elites began to recognize the potential benefits of aligning themselves with the Roman system. The Roman administrative framework offered opportunities for ambitious Greeks to gain prominence within the broader imperial structure. This co-option of local elites into Roman governance facilitated a cultural exchange that would ultimately benefit both sides. The economic landscape of Greece underwent dramatic changes under Roman rule. The integration into the vast Roman Empire led to shifts in trade patterns and economic priorities. Roman infrastructure projects, including the construction of roads and the improvement of ports, enhanced connectivity throughout the region, facilitating the movement of goods and people. The urban fabric of Greek cities began to reflect the influence of Roman architectural styles and urban planning principles. Cities like Corinth and Athens saw the construction of Roman-style public buildings, which served as visible reminders of the new political order. These architectural changes reflected not only the cultural assimilation taking place, but also the Roman emphasis on civic life and public spaces. Education and intellectual life in Greece also experienced significant shifts during this period. The traditional Greek educational system began to incorporate elements of Roman education, while Greek intellectual traditions continued to exert a powerful influence on Roman thought. This cross-pollination of ideas led to a rich cultural synthesis, with Greece emerging as a center of learning within the Roman Empire. The role of Greece as a cultural center within the Roman Empire grew increasingly important over time. Despite its political subjugation, Greece maintained and even enhanced its status as a wellspring of art, philosophy, and literature. Roman elites came to view Greece as a source of refined culture and intellectual sophistication, leading to a kind of cultural pilgrimage. Religious practices in Greece also underwent a process of transformation and syncretism under Roman rule. While many traditional Greek religious customs persisted, they began to intertwine with Roman religious traditions. This blending of religious practices allowed for the coexistence of Greek and Roman deities within the same pantheon, reflecting the broader process of cultural integration taking place throughout the empire. Rome's conquest of Greece was not merely a military campaign. It was a strategic game of chess played on the complex board of Greek politics. Like a skilled puppeteer, Rome manipulated the strings of Greek rivalries, turning age-old conflicts to its advantage. This diplomatic strategy proved as effective as any legion in securing Roman dominance over the Hellenic world. As Roman legions marched across Greece, Greek ideas were quietly infiltrating Rome. This cultural invasion would reshape the empire in ways no one could have predicted. The initial Roman attitudes towards Greek culture were complex, marked by a mixture of admiration and suspicion. While many Romans respected Greek achievements in philosophy, art, and literature, they also viewed Greek customs as potentially corrupting to traditional Roman virtues. However, the gradual infiltration of Greek ideas and practices into Roman society became an unstoppable force. One of the primary channels for this cultural exchange was the practice of employing Greek slaves and tutors to educate Roman children. This seemingly innocuous custom had far-reaching consequences, as it exposed the next generation of Roman elites to Greek language, literature, and thought from an early age. The impact of Greek philosophy on Roman intellectual life was particularly significant. Stoicism and Epicureanism, two schools of thought that originated in Greece, found fertile ground in Rome. These philosophical systems offered new ways of understanding the world and human nature, influencing Roman thought and governance. Roman authors began to express open admiration for Greek culture, often praising its artistic and philosophical achievements. This admiration led to the integration of Greek styles into various aspects of Roman life. The literary world saw Roman writers adopting Greek forms and themes, creating a new hybrid literature that blended Greek sophistication with Roman practicality. The visual arts and architecture were not immune to this cultural exchange. Greek architectural styles heavily influenced Roman buildings, with the adoption of columns, friezes, and other decorative elements becoming commonplace. This architectural synthesis not only transformed the physical landscape of Rome, but also served as a visible symbol of the cultural integration taking place. As these various strands of Greek culture wove themselves into the fabric of Roman society, a unique Greco-Roman culture began to emerge. This cultural synthesis was characterized by a blending of Greek and Roman traditions in art, literature, philosophy, and religion. The resulting cultural landscape was neither purely Greek nor purely Roman, but a new entity that drew strength from both traditions. This cultural revolution in Rome had profound implications for the empire as a whole. Greek culture came to dominate the intellectual and artistic life of Rome, even as Roman political and military power held sway over the Mediterranean world. The conquest of Greece had initiated a process that would fundamentally alter the identity of Rome itself, creating a new intellectual and artistic framework that would influence Western civilization for centuries to come. While Greek culture reshaped Rome's intellectual landscape, a revolution was taking place on the battlefield. The Roman legions, once outmatched by the formidable Macedonian phalanx, evolved to become the ancient world's most feared fighting force. This transformation redefined warfare in the ancient world. The Macedonian phalanx, a tightly packed formation of soldiers wielding long spears known as sarissas, had long been considered the pinnacle of military effectiveness. Its success under Philip II and Alexander the Great had cemented its reputation as an invincible force. When Roman armies first encountered this formation, they found themselves at a significant disadvantage. Roman military leaders recognized the need for adaptation. They developed new tactics to exploit the weaknesses of the phalanx, while capitalizing on the strengths of the Roman legionary system. The adoption of a more flexible formation, known as the triplex aces, divided the legion into 3 lines, allowing for greater maneuverability. Unlike the rigid phalanx, which struggled on uneven terrain, the Roman formation could adapt to changing conditions with ease. The emphasis on individual combat skills became a cornerstone of Roman military doctrine. While the phalanx relied on collective action, Roman soldiers excelled in close-quarters combat. This focus on personal prowess allowed Roman forces to exploit gaps in enemy formations and quickly capitalize on any disorder within the phalanx. Technological innovations played a crucial role in the Roman military's evolution. The development of the pilum, a type of javelin, provided Roman soldiers with a powerful ranged weapon that could disrupt enemy formations before engaging in close combat. When thrown en masse, these javelins could severely hamper the effectiveness of the phalanx by damaging shields and creating gaps in the tight formation. The effectiveness of these new Roman tactics was demonstrated in several pivotal battles against Hellenistic armies. The Battle of Kynoshiphalae in 197 BC marked a turning point in military history. Roman commander Titus Quinctius Flamininus employed a combination of skirmishing tactics and a well-timed flanking maneuver to exploit the vulnerabilities of the Macedonian phalanx. The Battle of Pydna in 168 BC provided the most dramatic demonstration of Roman tactical superiority. Roman forces under Lucius Aemilius Paulus faced the Macedonian army, led by King Perseus. As the phalanx moved across uneven ground, gaps appeared in its line. Roman soldiers quickly exploited these openings, engaging the Macedonian troops in close combat, where the long sarissas became a hindrance. The result was a catastrophic defeat for Perseus and the Macedonians. The once invincible phalanx had been broken, and with it, the military dominance of the Hellenistic kingdoms. This victory at Pydna symbolized a significant shift in military power from Greece to Rome, marking the decline of the phalanx as the dominant military formation in the ancient world. The implications of this military revolution extended far beyond the battlefield. As Roman tactics proved superior, the path was cleared for further Roman expansion. The defeat of the phalanx removed a significant obstacle to Roman dominance in the eastern Mediterranean, accelerating the process of conquest and integration of Greek territories into the growing Roman state. As the sun set on ancient Greece, a new dawn rose with the Pax Romana, transforming the Mediterranean world like a master sculptor reshaping clay. Rome's conquest of Greece brought profound changes, altering society in ways both subtle and dramatic. Rome's influence permeated every aspect of Greek life. In Athens' Agora, once the heart of democratic discourse, Roman architectural elements appeared alongside traditional structures. Greek, long the lingua franca of the Eastern Mediterranean, now competed with Latin in official documents and trade. The story of Alexandros, a Corinthian merchant, illustrates these changes. Before Roman rule, his trade routes were limited by fractious Greek politics. Under the Pax Romana, he traveled freely across the Mediterranean, protected by Roman law and benefiting from extensive road networks. His ledgers, once solely in Greek, now included Latin to facilitate dealings with Roman officials and traders. The Roman legal system gradually supplanted traditional Greek laws. Citizens navigated new courts and procedures, with property rights, contracts, and family law reflecting Roman norms. Education changed too. While Greek remained the language of culture, Latin became crucial for advancement in the new order. Young Greeks studied Roman history and law alongside Homer and Plato. Roman military presence became common in Greek cities. Legionary garrisons, once viewed with suspicion, integrated into urban life. Some Greeks enlisted in the Roman army, seeing it as a path to citizenship and advancement. Religious practices transformed gradually. While the Greek pantheon remained important, Roman deities and imperial cult practices were introduced. Temples to Roman gods appeared alongside Greek ones, and festivals honoring emperors joined the civic calendar. Greece's economy experienced both benefits and challenges. Roman demand for Greek luxury goods provided opportunities, but cheaper imports sometimes undercut local producers. Greek intellectual life increasingly oriented towards Roman tastes and patronage, with philosophers and rhetoricians finding new audiences among Roman elites. The transition wasn't always smooth. Some Greeks resented the loss of autonomy and imposition of Roman customs, leading to periodic uprisings. However, many came to see themselves as part of a larger Roman world, embracing dual Greek and Roman identities. As years passed, the line between Greek and Roman culture blurred. The result was a unique Greco-Roman civilization that would shape the Mediterranean for centuries, leaving an indelible mark on Western culture. Rome's divide and rule strategy had played a crucial role in this transformation. By exploiting existing tensions among Greek states, Rome had gradually eroded their unity, paving the way for its dominance. The Roman Senate's diplomatic maneuvering, exemplified in alliances like that with the Aetolian League against Philip V of Macedon, had allowed Rome to present itself as a protector rather than a conqueror. This diplomatic strategy, combined with military might, proved highly effective. Greek states, once fiercely independent, increasingly sought Roman support against common threats. As Rome's influence grew, the foundations of Greek political independence eroded, making resistance to Roman encroachment increasingly difficult. The long-term consequences were profound. Greek political structures were gradually absorbed into the Roman sphere of influence. By the time many Greek states realized the full extent of Roman ambitions, it was often too late to effectively resist. The Pax Romana had reshaped the Greek world, creating a new Greco-Roman reality that would endure for centuries. As Rome's military conquests reshaped the Mediterranean's political landscape, a parallel transformation unfolded in the realm of ideas. The fusion of empires brought with it a fusion of philosophies, creating an intellectual crucible that would alter the course of Western thought. This exchange of ideas between Greek and Roman cultures marked the beginning of a profound synthesis, binding conqueror and conquered in ways that transcended mere political dominion. The Greek world, with its rich tradition of philosophical inquiry, had long been a beacon of intellectual achievement. As Roman power expanded into Greek territories, this intellectual heritage became part of the spoils of conquest, albeit in a form more subtle and enduring than material plunder. Roman thinkers, exposed to Greek ideas, found themselves grappling with new ways of understanding the world. The impact of Greek philosophy on Roman thought was far-reaching. Stoicism, with its emphasis on virtue and duty, found particular resonance among Roman elites. Epicureanism also made significant inroads into Roman intellectual life, challenging traditional religious beliefs and contributing to a more rationalistic worldview among educated Romans. The exchange of ideas was not a one-way street. Roman thinkers, while absorbing Greek philosophy, also adapted and transformed these ideas to suit their own cultural context. The Roman emphasis on practical application and civic duty led to new interpretations and applications of Greek philosophical concepts. The long-term impact of this intellectual fusion was profound. The Greco-Roman philosophical tradition that emerged from this period would become the foundation of Western intellectual thought. It influenced the development of Christian theology, medieval scholasticism, and eventually, the Renaissance and Enlightenment. The concepts of natural law, individual rights, and rational inquiry that underpin modern Western political and scientific thought can trace their lineage back to this period of cultural exchange. Moreover, the integration of Greek philosophy into Roman culture facilitated the preservation and transmission of these ideas through the fall of the Western Roman Empire and beyond. Monastic scholars in the Middle Ages, working from Latin translations and commentaries, kept Greek philosophical traditions alive, ensuring their eventual rediscovery and revitalization during the Renaissance. As Rome consolidated its control over Greek territories, it implemented a system of tribute and taxation that fundamentally altered the flow of wealth in the conquered regions. Greek cities were subjected to heavy taxes, designed to extract resources to support Rome's expanding military and administrative needs. This system, while resented by local populations, served as a powerful tool for Rome to assert its dominance and finance further expansion. Despite the initial economic strain, the gradual integration of Greek cities into the broader Roman economic network began to yield new opportunities. The establishment of Roman control facilitated the expansion of trade routes and increased commerce across the Mediterranean. Roman infrastructure projects, such as roads and ports, played a crucial role in reshaping the economic landscape, enhancing trade and communication within the conquered territories. The economic transformation under Roman rule led to the rise of new centers of commerce and the decline of others. This shift in economic geography reflected the changing priorities of the Mediterranean world, now increasingly centered on Rome and its imperial needs. In essence, the conquest of Greece by Rome led not only to a political and economic transformation, but to an intellectual revolution that would shape the course of Western civilization for millennia to come. The fusion of Greek philosophical depth with Roman practical wisdom created a legacy that continues to influence our understanding of ethics, politics, and the nature of reality itself. Like a cosmic alchemist blending divine essences, the Pax Romana fused Greek and Roman cultures into a new, potent alloy. This era of Roman peace transformed Greece, reshaping its social, economic, and cultural landscape. As Roman dominions solidified, the once fiercely independent Greek city-states found themselves integrated into a vast imperial system that prioritized stability and prosperity. This new paradigm, while initially met with resistance, gradually ushered in a period of unprecedented peace and development across the Greek world. The imposition of Roman governance initially sparked opposition among many Greeks, who viewed it as a threat to their cherished autonomy and cultural heritage. However, as the benefits of Roman rule became increasingly apparent, attitudes began to shift. The cessation of intercity conflicts and the establishment of a unified economic framework created conditions conducive to growth and prosperity. Greek cities, long accustomed to the uncertainties of warfare and political upheaval, now experienced a prolonged period of stability that allowed for significant urban development and cultural flourishing. Roman policies aimed at maintaining peace had far-reaching consequences for Greek society. The establishment of client states and the integration of local elites into the Roman administrative framework helped to stabilize regions and reduce resistance. This approach not only ensured Roman control, but also created new avenues for social mobility among Greeks. Ambitious individuals found opportunities to rise through the ranks of Roman administration, fostering a more cosmopolitan outlook among the Greek upper classes. The urban landscape of Greece underwent a remarkable transformation during the Pax Romana. Cities like Athens and Corinth experienced a revival in trade and cultural activities, benefiting from Roman infrastructure projects that improved connectivity and commerce. The construction of roads and aqueducts enhanced the quality of life for urban dwellers and facilitated the movement of goods, ideas, and people across the empire. This interconnectedness accelerated the blending of Greek and Roman cultures, laying the groundwork for a truly Greco-Roman civilization. The social structure in Greece evolved as the Pax Romana took hold. Increased mobility within the Roman Empire led to a more dynamic and diverse society. Traditional social hierarchies began to evolve, with new pathways to status and influence emerging within the Roman system. This shift allowed for greater social fluidity, as individuals could now rise through merit and service to the empire, rather than solely through birth or citizenship in a particular polis. Greek cities took on a new role as centers of learning within the Roman Empire, building upon their robust intellectual traditions. The stability provided by Roman rule allowed for the flourishing of education and the arts, with Greek intellectuals and artists gaining prominence in Roman society. This cultural exchange enriched the intellectual landscape of the region, as Greek ideas and Roman pragmatism combined to create new schools of thought and artistic expression. The long-term consequences of the Pax Romana for Greek identity were profound and multifaceted. While there was cultural assimilation, Greek language, philosophy, and artistic traditions remained influential throughout the Roman world. The preservation of Greek cultural elements under Roman rule ensured their transmission to future generations, even as they evolved and intermingled with Roman influences. This cultural synthesis gave rise to a unique Greco-Roman identity that would shape Western civilization for centuries to come. The peace brought by Roman rule both preserved and transformed Greek civilization in complex ways. While the political independence of Greek city-states was curtailed, the stability provided by the Pax Romana allowed for the continuation and development of many aspects of Greek culture. Greek remained the lingua franca of the Eastern Mediterranean, and Greek educational practices were adopted by Roman elites. This cultural influence extended to religion, with Greek deities and religious practices often syncretized with Roman counterparts. As the Pax Romana took root, Greek cities found themselves at the nexus of a vast imperial network. The economic integration of Greece into the Roman system provided access to new markets and resources, stimulating trade and economic growth. However, it also made Greek cities more vulnerable to economic fluctuations within the broader empire. This economic interdependence ensured that Roman control over Greek territories was not merely maintained by force, but was woven into the fabric of daily life. The fusion of Greek and Roman cultures during the Roman conquest of Greece marked a turning point in Western intellectual history, igniting a philosophical revolution that would shape human thought for millennia. As Roman legions marched through the streets of Athens and Corinth, they encountered not just conquered territories, but a treasure trove of ideas that would transform their worldview. The initial Roman reaction to Greek philosophy was one of suspicion and hostility. Traditional Roman virtues of practicality and civic duty clashed with the speculative nature of Greek thought. Cato the Elder, a staunch defender of Roman values, advocated for the expulsion of Greek philosophers, fearing their corrupting influence on Roman youth. Yet, as Roman elites immersed themselves in Greek culture, their attitudes began to shift. The intellectual rigor of Greek philosophy proved irresistible to educated Romans. A new generation of Roman thinkers emerged, well-versed in Greek traditions, but eager to adapt them to Roman sensibilities. This synthesis found its most profound expression in Stoicism, a philosophical school that resonated deeply with Roman values. The Stoic emphasis on rationality and duty aligned perfectly with Roman ideals of governance and personal conduct. Seneca and Cicero, two of Rome's greatest minds, integrated Stoic principles into their works on ethics and public life. The influence of Stoicism extended into the corridors of power, with many Roman leaders, including Emperor Marcus Aurelius, embracing its principles as a guide for their rule. Other Greek schools of thought also left their mark on Roman society. Epicureanism, with its focus on pleasure and the avoidance of pain, challenged traditional Roman notions of virtue. While often misunderstood, Epicurean ideas influenced Roman approaches to personal happiness and ethical conduct. The fusion of Greek and Roman philosophical traditions led to the emergence of new schools of thought. Neoplatonism, which would later exert a profound influence on early Christian theology, emerged as a synthesis of Platonic philosophy and Roman mystical traditions. The adoption of Greek philosophical methods encouraged a more critical and analytical approach to knowledge in Roman society. This led to advancements in various fields, from rhetoric and literature to science and mathematics. The Roman legal system, which would become the foundation for many modern legal codes, was infused with Greek philosophical principles of equity and natural law. The impact of this philosophical fusion extended far beyond the realm of abstract thought. Greek philosophical ideas began to influence Roman political theory, shaping conceptions of law, justice, and governance. The Greco-Roman philosophical tradition became the bedrock of European intellectual culture, shaping the development of medieval scholasticism, Renaissance humanism, and Enlightenment rationalism. As we reflect on this remarkable period of cultural synthesis, we are reminded of the transformative power of intellectual exchange. The fusion of Greek and Roman thought demonstrates how the collision of different worldviews can lead to profound innovation and lasting change. Concepts of citizenship, virtue, and the role of the state that emerged from this fusion continue to influence political thought to this day, serving as a testament to the enduring impact of cultural dialogue and the universal human quest for understanding. Imagine a world where the gods of Mount Olympus rub shoulders with the deities of ancient Rome, their myths and legends intertwining to create a new spiritual tapestry. This was the reality of the ancient Mediterranean as the Roman Empire expanded its reach into the Greek world. The resulting religious syncretism, a fusion of divine traditions, would shape Western spirituality for millennia to come, influencing everything from art and literature to politics and philosophy. As Roman power consolidated in Greece, a complex process of religious reconciliation began. The practice of interpretatio Graeca and interpretatio Romana played a crucial role, equating Greek gods with their Roman counterparts. Hermes became Mercury, Zeus transformed into Jupiter, and Athena found her counterpart in Minerva. This divine translation allowed for a seamless blending of worship practices across the expanding empire. Archaeological evidence attests to this religious fusion. Excavations have unearthed temples and altars bearing inscriptions to both Greek and Roman deities. The ancient city of Pompeii offers compelling examples, with sacred spaces honoring gods from both pantheons. The Temple of Apollo at Delphi, once the heart of Greek religious life, was adapted for Roman worship. demonstrating the malleability of religious sites during this period of cultural exchange. Greek mystery cults spread throughout the Roman world, offering deeper spiritual fulfillment to those seeking more intimate religious experiences. The cult of Dionysus and the Eleusinian mysteries held particular appeal, promising secret knowledge and personal salvation. The incorporation of Dionysian rituals into Roman festivals, such as the Bacchanalia, vividly illustrates this cultural fusion. The impact of this religious syncretism extended far beyond worship, permeating Roman art, literature, and daily life. Artists and writers drew inspiration from the merged mythologies, creating works that reflected this new, composite religious landscape. The blending of Greek and Roman religious iconography became commonplace, with statues and frescoes often depicting deities with attributes from both traditions. Emperor worship emerged as a significant bridge between Greek and Roman religious traditions, drawing on the Greek practice of hero cults and formalizing it within the Roman imperial system. This imperial cult became a central aspect of Roman religion, serving both religious and political functions. By deifying emperors and worshipping them alongside traditional gods, the Romans created a new religious framework that incorporated elements from both Greek and Roman traditions. The long-term consequences of this religious syncretism were profound. The establishment of a more inclusive religious framework allowed for the coexistence of various beliefs, setting the stage for future religious developments. This syncretic approach created an environment where new spiritual ideas could take root and flourish, ultimately paving the way for the rise of Christianity and shaping Western spirituality for centuries to come. The fusion of Roman and Greek cultures marked a pivotal moment in the development of Western civilization, creating a synthesis that would shape the course of history for millennia to come. As Rome consolidated its power over the Greek world, a profound transformation began to unfold, merging two distinct cultural legacies into a new and vibrant whole. This historical legacy continues to impact our world today, influencing everything from our legal systems to our artistic expressions. The encounter between Roman pragmatism and Greek idealism initially seemed to promise conflict rather than convergence. However, rather than resulting in the obliteration of one culture by the other, this clash of worldviews gave birth to a hybrid civilization that redefined the very essence of what it meant to be civilized in the ancient world. The synthesis of Roman and Greek cultures was particularly evident in the realm of law and philosophy. Roman legal thought was significantly enriched by the integration of Greek philosophical principles, creating a legal framework that was both robust and flexible, capable of addressing the complex needs of an expanding empire. Education played a crucial role in cementing this cultural synthesis. Roman elites began employing Greek tutors for their children, ensuring that the next generation of Roman leaders would be well versed in both Latin and Greek, as well as in the cultural and intellectual traditions of both civilizations. The impact of this cultural fusion was equally profound in the realms of art and literature. Roman artists and architects incorporated Greek styles into their work, leading to the emergence of a distinctive Greco-Roman artistic tradition. In literature, Roman authors were increasingly influenced by Greek literary forms and themes, resulting in a rich corpus of Greco-Roman literature that would form the backbone of Western literary tradition for centuries to come. The emergence of a new Greco-Roman elite was perhaps one of the most significant outcomes of this cultural synthesis. These individuals, fluent in both Latin and Greek and well-versed in the cultural traditions of both civilizations, became the standard bearers of a new hybrid culture. The long-term consequences of this cultural synthesis for European history cannot be overstated. The Greco-Roman civilization that emerged from this fusion would become the foundation upon which much of Western culture would be built. From the Renaissance to the Enlightenment and beyond, thinkers and artists would look back to this period as a source of inspiration and guidance. As we reflect on this remarkable historical convergence, we are reminded of the enduring power of cultural exchange and synthesis. The legacy of this Greco-Roman fusion continues to shape our world today, influencing our laws, our art, and our philosophical thought. We invite you to explore this rich cultural heritage further and consider how it continues to resonate in our modern world. The Greco-Roman legacy continues to shape our world in profound ways. From government halls to university classrooms, the influence of this ancient cultural fusion permeates modern society, leaving an indelible mark on our institutions, ideas, and aesthetics. The conquest of Greece by Rome set in motion a cultural exchange that would fundamentally alter the course of Western civilization. In law and governance, the impact of Greco-Roman thought is particularly evident. Modern political and legal systems draw heavily from classical models, incorporating principles first articulated in ancient Athens and Rome. Democracy, born in the Greek polis and transformed by Roman republicanism, created a template for representative government that influences nations worldwide. Roman law, emphasizing codification and systematic application, forms the basis of many contemporary legal systems, particularly in continental Europe. The Renaissance marked a resurgence of interest in classical antiquity. Scholars and artists looked to Greece and Rome for inspiration, sparking a revolution in art, literature, and philosophy. This engagement with ancient texts and ideas laid the groundwork for modern Western thought, challenging medieval paradigms and ushering in an era of intellectual exploration. The Enlightenment further emphasized the importance of classical philosophy. Thinkers like John Locke and Montesquieu drew heavily on Greek and Roman ideas about governance and human rights, shaping political philosophies that informed the American and French revolutions. The concept of natural rights, central to modern democratic societies, finds its roots in Stoic philosophy and Roman jurisprudence. The aesthetic legacy of Greco-Roman civilization is equally pervasive. Neoclassical architecture, drawing inspiration from ancient Greek and Roman buildings, dominates government structures and monuments globally. From the United States Capitol to the British Museum, these edifices testify to the enduring appeal of classical design principles. The clean lines, symmetry, and grandeur of Greco-Roman architecture convey authority and permanence. In art, the influence of classical models remains strong. Greek sculptures idealized human forms, Roman frescoes, narrative techniques, and classical architecture's proportions continue to inform artistic practice and aesthetic sensibilities. Even in the modern era, where avant-garde movements challenge traditional forms, the classical heritage provides a reference point against which innovation is measured. Greek philosophy, particularly the works of Plato and Aristotle, remains relevant in modern philosophical discourse. These ancient thinkers laid the groundwork for Western metaphysics, ethics, and political theory. The Socratic method, emphasizing critical questioning and logical analysis, remains a cornerstone of philosophical inquiry and legal education. Roman pragmatism, especially in governance and law, has left an equally lasting impact. Many legal principles still in use today trace their origins to Roman law. Concepts such as due process, the presumption of innocence, and the importance of precedent in legal reasoning all have roots in the Roman legal tradition. The ongoing academic and popular fascination with ancient Greece and Rome attests to their enduring relevance. Classical studies departments worldwide continue to analyze and interpret ancient texts, while archaeological excavations regularly uncover new insights into Greco-Roman civilization. This sustained scholarly interest ensures that the legacy of the ancient world remains vibrant and continues to inform our understanding of history, culture, and human nature. The Roman conquest of Greece marked a pivotal moment in Western civilization's formation, profoundly shaping our modern world. This cultural fusion laid the groundwork for many aspects of contemporary society, from legal systems and political philosophies to art and literature. Its impact extended beyond antiquity, influencing the Renaissance, Enlightenment, and modern democratic ideals. The interplay between Greek intellectualism and Roman pragmatism created a unique synthesis that still resonates in fields like architecture, education, and governance. This transformative period exemplifies history's cyclical nature and cultural exchange, where the conquered often profoundly shape the conquerors, leading to new forms of civilization